actually more than one, but one in particular, adult student who is a doctor, not just a doctor, an ear, nose and throat surgeon. So really works with a lot of the stuff that we use. So he'd be in a lesson and I'd say, oh, you need to do blah, blah, blah. And he'd go, that's medically impossible. And there were, I don't know, 3 or 4 different things that I said, which are things that I'd been taught by my bassoon teachers and that they'd been taught by their bassoon teachers, and going back through however many generations of bassoonists, none of whom were doctors, right? So I'd say this thing to him and he would go, no, that you can't, that's not how that works. So for example, the diaphragm, you mentioned the diaphragm. What is it? What does it do? First question, what is it? Well, you're probably right if you guess.
Okay, it's the thing right below the lungs.
It's a thing. What sort of thing?
A muscle. Yeah.
Bingo. Yes, it's a muscle.
Haven't had health class in a while.
Right. Me either. Although got some schooling from this guy.
Yeah.
In our, let's say our arm, when I do this, we've got biceps and triceps.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got opposing muscle groups. One lifts the arm, the other lowers it. Okay. Many of the muscles in our body, most of the muscles in our body, work in one direction only. There are exceptions, the heart, our tongue, some others that are important that can move in multiple ways. But many muscles only move in one direction. The diaphragm is one of those. It only moves, it only engages on the inhale. It is an inhale only muscle. So think about that for a second. When we think about, I'm going to support with my diaphragm, or I'm going to do vibrato with my diaphragm, those are medically impossible. What that mostly means is that somebody is just misnaming the thing that's doing it, and it's in this a similar region. So sometimes it's the abdominal muscles and the oblique, like our torso or our core, is a lot of people will talk about. It's down there, but the diaphragm, basically, it's sort of a little bit like a dome. And what happens is when we breathe in, it goes down like this, and then when we exhale, it just relaxes back up into position. Okay. So what I want you to think about a little bit is when you're going deep and you are going all the way down to the diaphragm, that it's almost drawing the air into the lungs. Let me ask you another question, 3 questions that are all part of one. Okay? And don't overthink this, there's a very simple answer that I'm looking for. If you pour a glass of water, how does it fill? Is it top down? Is it bottom up?
Is bottom up.
Yes, correct. If you fill a bucket of sand,
Bottom up.
if I take a balloon and I lean over and I blow into it like this, where does the air go?
Top down.
Yes. It doesn't fall to the bottom. So what we have to do to fill our lungs, not that they're exactly like a balloon, but it's a good enough analogy, we actually almost have to draw it down, as opposed to, if we just let it, you know when you blow a balloon and it's like, you start blowing, it's like, I don't know, light bulb size, and then you blow it up and it becomes watermelon size. Like, some people are only breathing the light bulb size thing. I talked about that already. But if you're drawing it all the way down, this is maybe more the watermelon thing, right?
Yeah.
So I sometimes actually, even though it's not what we can do, it's not how it works, but I imagine like I'm either, choose your favorite, filling a glass of water or a bucket of sand, I'm going to draw the air down and almost feel like I'm filling it bottom up, even though that's not actually what happens. Now while that's doing it, the diaphragm's going to do this thing, but the whole time I'm staying out of the way, I'm keeping my attention, and I'm just focusing maybe on almost like the trachea, the windpipe. I've got this big tube down, I'm just going to fill up, and then I'm going to control the rate that it comes out. So, which is not going to be with the diaphragm, it's going to be other things involved with that. So I want you to take a really, there's not even a dynamic here, but can you play that, I don't know, forte, which is probably not what we would do in context. But I want you to really think about the breath, including, are my shoulders involved in this in any way? But see if you can sort of really think of drawing it down, and then just very full sound. Yeah, so I already saw more engagement lower down than I had seen when you played the whole thing before, because I was watching it. I was watching fingers and I was watching, there's several things I was observing, but you already engaged more of it. Do that again. Good. I should have let you keep playing a little bit with the full sound. Also, our ribs hinge.
Yeah.
Okay, and so some people think, oh, I'm going to breathe deep, I should only feel it in my stomach, and that's not correct either. It's like the whole thing just sort of, it's like accommodate all of that air that we need, because technically our lungs are higher up here. They go extend a little bit lower in the back, so you can actually. I shouldn't lay my bassoon down, but I will anyway. If you can lay that across your lap or something, can you put your hands with your thumbs sort of facing forward on your torso? You're welcome to join in with this as well. And when you take a deep breath, what happens? Well, actually, let me bring up one other thing before we do that exercise, so you can relax. Like if you're trying to get into a tight pair of jeans or something, a lot of people go and breathe in.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then they've got all this tension. So, but the balloon again. When we blow air into the balloon, another very simple multiple choice. Does it get A, bigger, or B, smaller?
Bigger.
Bigger. When we bring air into our lungs, they're going to expand. Okay? So this is artificially just moving things around. I don't know why we even inhale when we do that. We should sort of exhale when we do that, but everybody does it this way around. So what happens is that we can feel lower down things that are like our organs that are below the diaphragm and stuff. Basically, they need to make room for the expansion above. So we feel everything balloon out around here. It's not air is down there, it's that we have to make space. So let's do this now and just go. And make sure you can feel it all the way in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel it expand.
So what I want you to do is you're going to take a breath, and you can't have your hands down like that, but do you know what it feels like when that happens? So that you could take a breath and your hands are busy on the bassoon and you'll know that you're expanding down there? You think you've got that sensation?
Let's see.
I guess so. So it started out bigger, but then you started to use less air,
Yeah.
and it started to subside. Could you play as long as you just did, just up to there, and you get a nice quarter note to breathe again and restart, but like I'm trying to think of an analogy I want. I want you to, it's like these sports coaches, don't leave anything on the field or whatever. Don't leave any air, like burn it up, and then suck it in for that breath, as if you're going to keep playing. But I feel like you let it just kind of go out, like you were in conservation mode. Like you were. Do you drive?
Yes.
You were driving, and the little orange light had come on, and you're like, I'm going to coast in to the gas station.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried, just in case. Burn it up, baby. If you run out of gas on the side of the road, that's all right. But I want the full sound from there to there. It's only 4 measures, right? 3.5 measures.
Yes.
And if you need to gasp now, that's okay.
Yeah.
So, but what I think you've been doing, that's not the volume I probably played this at, but this is a little bit of an exercise, is, when we build stamina in something, like I was talking about athletic stuff, let's say, you're in PE, if they even do that anymore, and you have to run track, and you're like, the only way I'm going to get any good at this is actually to work my way up to running further and further and stuff like that, and building that sort of stamina. As wind players, I think we should learn to build stamina with our breath control. Okay? So what you just did now was probably closer to you feeling like, oh gosh, I'm going to run out. Maybe?
Yes.
Okay? But you didn't. And if you worked on that, and then gradually you would be able to do it more easily, just as you and your body get used to it. Now, part of it, there's a couple of strategies we can do. One is, okay, instead of, this going at a rate of burning my air at, 85%, I'm going to drop it down to 70 and then I can make it fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And or you could do what you sort of did, where you started big and then it just sort of, I'm a little worried, I'm going to be fine. But then the product, the sound product is different. So I want you to start thinking about that. And like when you're playing, especially an etude or like a scale or something like that, or long tones. Do you ever do long tones?
Unfortunately.
Yes, they're a necessary evil. How do you do them? Do you count with the metronome on, or do you put a timer on, or none of the above?
Usually a metronome.
Okay. Can you try for me at some point, just on your own time? Do you do with dynamics, or
No.
there are different versions? So like just holding the note steady.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You could also think about the dynamics, but that's another thing. But let's say, why don't you could time yourself as opposed to a metronome. I mean, a metronome can work as well, and of course, if it's on 60, it's essentially timing yourself for seconds. But you could put a stopwatch on, and you go, okay, so today I was able to hold it for 12 seconds. Tomorrow I'm going to go for like 14, 15. Now, there is an upper limit,
Yeah.
of course, physically, but it should be that you would be able to build your stamina such and learn your control that you're up into the 20s or 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure you're there right now.
No.
So part of it is the tension that is both on the inhale but then on the exhale. That is actually lessening what you can do. Part of it is I don't think you are breathing as deeply as you would describe to a student.
Yeah.
So there's a phrase that we teachers will use sometimes, which is do as I do and not do as I say and not as I do.
Yeah.
Where it's like I know what we're supposed to do, but I'm not doing it myself. So I think you almost realized that as you were telling me, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. So, but really, if you do you ever practice in front of a mirror?
No.
Is there a mirror anywhere around that you could practice in front of?
Yes.
I would love for you just to, especially when you're doing long tones or scales or something that you do from memory, that you go to play and watch yourself, particularly that last instant before you make the sound, and I go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you did a great job of not doing it. And like I said, I'm going to sort of ignore this topic for a little while, with almost with hopes. Like, actually, it'd be great if forevermore you didn't do the wrong thing, but I'm pretty confident that you will, and I'll catch you at it. Okay, so the pinky will come out, and you'll just go, oh yeah, but you'll feel a difference, and there is a sound difference. But there's also, if one is more relaxed, then you can actually last longer. Like your stamina is better. If you're all tense, then you actually burn up extra energy just unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Make sense?
More
Okay.
confident, yeah.
Yeah. Next topic. I really like, and it says here to do the stringendo and the row and stuff like that. I really like what you did with the pacing of the bottom line of this. This is sort of like an introduction before the main part of the piece, right? Do you know what a cadenza is?
Yes.
Do you know what a recitative is?
No.
Never mind, I'll use cadenza. I won't get into the explanation thing. What if you were to treat even the first line more like a cadenza? Now, and yet another question. I like to ask questions as part of my teaching. Maybe you're already catching on to that. Yet another question. In a cadenza, does the tempo stay just the same?
No.
What happens?
You control the flow, the tempo.
Yeah. In what ways?
You can make it faster or slower, pretty much depending on what you want to do with it.
What you want to do with it, or what the music seems to indicate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Can you take this first line especially up to the low C sharp. And can you treat it a little bit like a cadenza for me?
Okay.
I like it better. And I'm not so worried about the little boo-boo things.
Okay.
Let's see if I can read you music here. I should know it by now, but... playing around with it
Yeah.
a little bit. And also making it, I think, more dramatic. The way you played it the first time was absolutely accurate. It doesn't say on the music to do this, except, do you know what those two Italian words are, piacere?
No.
It basically, it's a little bit like ad lib. What does ad lib mean?
Just in whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, sort of like performer's choice, sort of, yeah. So, you know, as you wish to do it, sort of thing. So, a piacere is a little bit of a similar thing. Why they have to have all these different Italian words for the same, basically the same thing, I don't know. But it's basically indicating that there can be some level of freedom there. And so what I think of is that as we go through the dee da 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 ba da da, there's a sequence there. You know what that is? Have you done any music theory?
A little bit. We haven't gotten to sequences yet, though.
Do you know what one is, though? Do you sort of understand the concept?
No.
It's basically when you have repetition of something. So, are the same thing, but it's at a different pitch level. So that a sequence tends to have that it's basically the same element, and then it changes pitch and moves usually up or down or whatever, and sometimes there's several of them. So what we've got with that, we've got an opportunity. If we play them exactly the same, yes, there's a dynamic difference, but if we play them exactly the same, already by the second measure, it's a little repetitive and a little boring. So if we just go... It's like ho-hi. But if you make something of one, so make it almost like a gesture. It's tee-da-tee-um. Maybe almost a slightly dramatic pause, like the timing's just a little bit messed up.
Yeah.
Ta-dee-da-dum. Yeah!
Yeah.
Right? Can you do that? Just like my singing. Now go for it. Mess around with time. Yes. Continue. Now, so what you did when you played it before, and I will give you a get out of jail free card because you've just been a grumbly old bear and you've been concentrating on other things and stuff. But what you did, you got fast and you got slow, but you didn't transition particularly well from the slower to the faster and the faster to the slower. Like it was almost like, you know, jumping into new gears or something, right? And I think you could do da dee da da dee da 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 dee da da dee da 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 dee da 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 dee. Like you can think of what's a really great idea to use with this is to know what your top speed should be. Again, another driving analogy. Okay, so know your speed limit